Hi, everyone. I'm Summer,
I'm Carrie.
and this is Hopelexia Podcast.
Join us to talk about sex, drugs, and self improvement.
So how do you guys dream? Like, do you dream in color? What does that look like for y'all?
Uh, Color, I think. I have a
You
really hard
think?
time remembering my dreams
Oh, uh-huh.
since my first concussion, like 2 years ago in April. Like, I have a really hard time remembering them now. And then when I got my most recent concussion in August,
I'm gonna
uh,
need you to protect that brain, please.
I'm trying my best. I don't, it's fine.
I'm going to buy you a helmet.
That's fair. I have a really hard time remembering them now. I can remember like general ideas and like what happened most of the time, but I think it's in color. It's always like random ass shit, but
So
sometimes
are they like really like fantastical? Is that a word? Or like realistic, or what are they usually? Or before you had your concussion and could remember them?
usually it's a mixture because I do have like weird moments of like precognitive dreams where I will like
Mhm.
dream about like what hasn't happened yet, and then when it does happen, I'm like, oh shit, I had a dream about that, and it's always like dumb things like conversations with people or like myself like doing things, and I'm like, this feels weird. I feel like I've done this already.
Do your
But
precognitive dreams stay precognitive, or do they? Mine are always like I'll have them and it'll be like normal. I'm like, oh shit, this is deja vu, and like people have asked me because I do the same. I make the same face apparently every time that happens, and then they'll be like, at the office, they're like, "Are you having one of those moments again?" And I was like, "Deja vu," and they're like, "Yeah." They're like, "So is it still happening?" And they're like, it's so weird because they're like hesitant to look around, like, what do I do in this situation? And I'm like, well, it should stop right about now because I'm like, either that or something really big is about to break through that wall and eat us. So I'm like, I'm pretty sure it stops now.
I think sometimes it changes, but like generally it just stays like pretty normal, and then sometimes like I'll wake up like right after it happens, and then I'll go back to sleep and it's a whole different dream.
Hmm.
um but like when they do happen, like everything just like seems like a normal day, and sometimes I think I'm like actually like having that day, and when I wake up I'm like, man, I feel like I just had a whole day already. Why am I just now starting my day? um and then some like when I wake up, it'll and try to go back to sleep, it'll be like just crazy fucking dreams about like weird shit. So like a lot of times it's like weird scenarios that could never happen because
Hmm.
there's like fairies and like ghosts and like
Who says
visibly
that could
things.
never happen?
The way it's happening, like in the
Okay.
dream. Like, I don't know. It's
She
weird.
says that, and then when she meets that fairy, we're
They're already in
gonna
my
be
fucking room
surprised.
moving my shit all the time. So it's fine. I'm not mad about it.
Oh yeah, it sounds like it.
Do y'all ever have like a dream continuation where you have a dream that's really whimsical and fanciful and I know what word I'm trying to say. Anyway, full of fancy. Anyway, like, do you ever have those dreams where they stop one night and they're like really crazy and it's like a to be continued session, like either the next night or maybe even a week later you continue that same dream?
I have, but it doesn't happen often for me. How about you,
Those are
Carrie?
often.
It happens
Really?
sometimes, but I have a lot of like reoccurring dreams, and a lot of like my reoccurring dreams are really scary,
Oh no.
which is not fun. I had one the other night, and I was talking to my roommate about it, and it was like I was outside like walking around with some friends, and then there was like this house like a few houses down, and there was like birds circling it, and I was like, something is dead. And so we walk over there, and there was like a dead dog for some reason. I don't know. And we couldn't get into the house to like try to talk to whoever was there. So we went around the back and broke in because it looked abandoned. And then there was like a set of stairs like to my right, and I couldn't see up the stairs. Like every time I tried to look, it like I felt like I needed to look away. And then we got to like the front door and walked outside and was like looking around or whatever. And then I turned around to like talk to my friends. and there was like an additional person there that I didn't recognize that didn't walk over there with us. And then I tried to look up the stairs again, and I looked up and there was nothing down there, and then I woke up. And I have that dream often.
Interesting. I
don't
wonder
know what it
why.
means, but that was a very long-winded dream story, and I'm sorry.
It's
No
okay.
minutes today. So
Do you guys ever have lucid dreams where you know that you're dreaming?
Yeah, all my dreams are that way. I'm always aware that I'm dreaming. It's just like, do I choose to interact or do I not choose to interact with these surroundings? And do I go along with it? And same thing when I've done mushrooms.
Do you ever argue with yourself in the moment? Like are you like about whether or not to interact with it? Because like I had this, this has happened more than once. I'll be like going in the dream, right? And I know I'm dreaming, but something's wrong. Like there's a detail that's wrong, you know? Like that's not real. Like it doesn't really work like that. And so then my brain, I start arguing. Like there's literally an argument happening in my head about, do I change it or do I just, and then I'm like, no, just shut up. I want to see where this goes. And like seriously arguing with myself. No wonder I am exhausted when I wake up, because
okay.
my brain does not sleep.
That is exactly what I was going to say. Is I have these often enough that my argument is normally like, I can't go along with this. I'm too fucking tired. And I know I'm going to be exhausted in the morning. Like, and I literally think like, I'm asleep right now. I should be resting, but I'm having to go along with this. And also I get really pissed off because I can't control everything in my dream. I can like manipulate things a little bit, but like I'm having to, like something's chasing me, some big freaking, a group of people are trying to shoot me or something like that. I have no guns or anything to defend myself with. And I'm like, this is stupid as fucking dream. Like, why can't I make a gun up here? Like, it's my damn dream, man. It's like, right. I just got to run. And I'm like, why does my brain do this? It's just like, let's play a game of, like cat and mouse, and you're the mouse, you get jack shit. And we're going to do this for like, I can't tell if it's 30 minutes or like all 8 hours of my sleep period. 8 hours, 6 hours, whatever. Anyway, like I can't tell what's going on there. And I'm like, my brain does that. Like most of the time whenever I dream, that is pretty much how my dreams are. It's very lucid and very bizarre.
My roommate is trying to like learn how to lucid dream, and she had a dream a while ago that like freaked me out when she was talking about it. She had like a dream where she was like in this big like mansion or whatever, and there was like people like downstairs like dancing, and she wanted to explore, and then she realized that she was dreaming, and so she was like trying to like walk downstairs to like leave because it was creeping her out. And then all of a sudden she said like everybody stopped moving and just like started looking at her, and then somebody was like, you're not supposed to be awake. And then started like chasing her out. I was like, no. The free nope.
You're not supposed to be awake.
It's not for me. I don't want that.
That's funny.
That's not funny. That's scary.
Do you ever have the ones where you like get ready for work and then like do everything like you normally would? You feel groggy, you get ready for work, you go to work, and then finally when you get there, you wake up?
No.
Oh, I have those. They piss me off.
That sounds,
I'm just like,
sounds
damn
like
it,
a
I gotta do this all again.
Right. That sounds like a nightmare. I'd be so angry.
Same.
Unless you show up with no clothes on. And in that case, you're really relieved you didn't make it to work with no clothes on. You're like, God, thank goodness. That was
true.
That'd been awkward.
Not trying to get fired today. So you mentioned scary. I did not realize I was watching. See, Carrie, you did this to me. This is your fault. You made me get on TikTok for the channel.
Yeah.
So I've been watching, and of course, like immediately it knows that my brain is glitchy, and I have all these, and now I also have a For You page that's like 2/3 mini cows, but that's another story. So I just learned the other day, like apparently it's common for ADHD people for like horror movies to not scare us, and we don't get startled by the jump scares because we see the pattern all the way up, so we're expecting it and know it's coming, which is actually kind of a relief because I thought there was just something wrong with me because none of that was ever scary to me. I think they're hilarious.
It's funny that you say that because I went to the movies the other day again with my roommate. It's like I don't have other friends, but anyway, we haven't watched that movie Missing, and there was a bunch of like scary parts in it, like towards the end, and like it's PG-13, and like it gets a little intense, but there was like one part in it that wasn't even like that scary, but I had like a drink because we went to Flicks, and so you can like order food and they bring out these tall like plastic cups that you drink out of or whatever. And there was a part that wasn't even that scary, and I like jumped so hard that my drink sloshed around, and I was like, "Huh!" And everybody behind me was like, "Are you okay?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm fine."
See, that's the kind of people I like going and watching scary movies. Like you said, Summer, I do not get scared of scary movies at all. So I always enjoy taking somebody along with me that does get scared. That way I can enjoy, like, I get to, like, I know when the jump scare is coming. So then I just have to wait. And it is nice whenever the jump scare is like super, like more intense or more loud, especially than I'm expecting. Because then I get a little bit of that and I'm like, oh, that was kind of fun. But like,
I see it, like, I don't get scared during scary movies. It wasn't a scary part. It just was loud, and I sloshed my drink everywhere.
And unexpected.
Yeah.
You know, my daughter said that about a part in a movie. My 17-year-old, she said that there was I can't remember what movie it was, but it was a horror movie, and bothered her at all. But there's one part where like randomly he starts a lawnmower, and so it's just suddenly the motor starts really loud, and that made her jump.
I think it's just like the anxiety, because I know I'm sitting in like a scary movie. I know there's gonna be scary parts and like all this stuff, so I'm prepared for those. I'm not prepared for the mundane loud noises, because I don't expect those to be happening in a scary movie.
So do super loud noises not actually physically hurt other people? Is that an ADHD thing?
For me.
That a neurospicy thing?
I don't know.
I've just noticed lately that there's been a lot of times when I'm telling people, like, you know, they've got things up really, really loud, and they act like I'm crazy because I'm like, it actually hurts, and they act like I'm nuts.
Well, I know that my niece is autistic, and like I'm sure your child does this too, but they don't really like loud noises over a certain volume. Like she sets her TV so quiet. If you breathe too loud, you miss parts of the movie. Like it is so quiet in there, and she wears noise canceling headphones most of the time. When she's, you know, if there's people over at their house, she'll have noise canceling headphones on. Especially if my mom's over there, because mom is, again, her whole family, very loud. Me and my sister will quieten it down whenever we're there. You know, we'll giggle a little bit, but my niece is mostly, as she got a teenager, she's kind of got more comfortable with it. But yeah, I think like me and her agree on like certain sounds. Like I'll be like, oh no, yeah, that was too loud. That was definitely too loud. My sister is just like, I don't get it. Which, yeah, I don't know.
It's
I don't know if that's
like,
an ADHD thing or not.
For me, like if people talk too loud, it'll hurt my ears. But I don't know if it's because I had a lot of ear infections as a kid, and it feels like when you rub like two balloons against each other, that's what it feels like in my ear when people are too loud. But I don't know how to phrase this, but I don't like the texture of some sounds.
Yes.
No, it makes sense to me.
Rub together.
Yeah.
I hate the way that sounds, so I don't ever wear jeans unless I have to. But I hate the way that sounds, and I hate like the way it feels like in my body. I don't like things like that. There's like other stuff too that I can't think of off the top of my head.
Two dirty river rocks, if they rub together, like yeah.
So at what point did you guys realize you were neurospicy? I've recently learned that term. You know, ADHD or whatever else is going on with you. At what point did you guys realize that?
I have no idea.
See, because I was grown before I realized not everybody's brain work like this. Like my dad is also autistic. Actually, him and my oldest son, like their processing is exactly the same. So like I hate to use the word symptoms because I don't like that they act like this is really a deficit. It's my superpower, damn it. So my symptoms weren't as severe as his. So like we just didn't think anything of it. Like, oh, all of that's normal, right? Because like most everybody else in the family does all of these things too. So we all just thought it was normal. So I was grown and in college before, and you know, even like dreaming, I didn't know not everybody dreams like that until I took a sleep and dreams class in undergrad.
I think most of my family is also like neurospicy, but they won't admit it. Like, my mom was diagnosed with ADHD when she was like a really little kid, and she had like the stereotypical presentation for it. So she was like zooming around everywhere all the time and like never shut up. I got the never shut up part, but like, and my grandpa, who's my step grandpa, has OCD, but was never like diagnosed because he refuses, because he's part of the generation where you don't talk about things.
That's the same with my dad. When my son got his diagnosis, he sat me down to have a conversation, like, you know, like the boomers do. And he's like, so I want to know why they say he's autistic. And so, you know, I go down through hitting the high points of his symptoms, and he's like, well, and he says, well, that doesn't mean anything. I do all of those things. I said, yes, I know. And this is why I've been telling you you're on the spectrum for the last 15 years.
And did he take that very well?
He wouldn't talk about it for a long time, and he would just ignore it. But he did, like, sometime last year, I noticed he said something about, like, you say I'm on the spectrum. And then a few weeks ago, him and my mom were they were bickering about something. Basically, she didn't like the way he did something because she thought there was a way that was easier. And I'm like, and he actually said, well, my brain doesn't process that way. This way makes sense to me. So I can tell he's been thinking about it.
Yeah.
So I think he's finally there and comfortable with it.
That is something interesting about that generation. Is like they always do kind of easily. Anytime you give them new information, they do not accept that very well at all. But you can tell in their meantime, and I say that the older generation. I have a friend of mine that is very much like that. Like anytime I tell him like I pointed out that some of the things he said, like he jokes about things, but some of his beliefs are a little misogynistic, and I point that out to him. And I love him, so I point it out in a very loving way. But at the same time, I'm trying to get him to see it from that perspective. I'm like, you know, he's got a daughter, and he's a single dad with a daughter. So I kind of like mention him, like, you know, is this something that you would want your daughter viewed like? And like, he didn't care for me bringing that up, but at the same time, like a little while later, he'll like, now it's been like a couple of years since we had this conversation. He'll all of a sudden be like, you know, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't like it if somebody said that about my daughter, I guess. And he'd sit there and think about it. And I'm like, oh yeah. But he acts like my grandfather and all of them. He's got that kind of mentality about things. And I don't know, it's entertaining to see people slowly accept new information.
I mean, I'll still take that and prefer it to the ones who won't take it at all. Because there's a lot of those.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. It's been fun with Dad because I've challenged a lot, and there have been times where he's gotten so angry about things that he has kicked me out of his house and told me to never come back, and then he thinks about it, and then eventually somehow it's you know, fixed itself later. But yeah, we've had many many trips around that. But he is, the older he gets, getting better at stopping and saying, you know what, I'm going to think about that, instead of just having the knee-jerk reaction and snapping about it. So I'm glad for that, because that is not the person I grew up with.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. And to be sure you never miss an upload, make sure you turn your notifications on. And please come join us on social media so we can continue these conversations in between episodes. You'll find us at Hypoxia Podcast on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok.